Hello, everyone. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Thank you for being here, and we apologize for the confusion with the times earlier. So I'm glad you're here. We'll be starting in just a few. And for everybody who's already on, we're going to be just starting in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for your patience, and sorry about the confusion earlier with the timing, but we'll have some great networking information happening here in just a minute or so. Thank you all for being here. We're going to start in just about less than a minute. So we're waiting for a few more for everybody to have a chance to get in. Thank you for being here. Okay, John, it's that time.
All right, ready to go. Well, welcome everybody to another one of our great Affinity webinars, and I can't think of anybody else I'd rather do it with than Heidi. And today we're going to talk about, I think, probably another one of our top favorite subject is the power of networking. I can't think of any better way that you can utilize your talents and gain so much more by participating as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started here and move right along.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm Heidi Ellsworth with Roofer's Coffee Shop. And John?
I'm John Kenny with Cotney Consulting Group, and always happy to be here and to do these webinars and to can't see, but I know you all are out there, and it's happy to always come in contact with our groups.
Perfect. So we want to thank you. And today, actually, as we go through our presentation, working with John over the years, talk about an amazing networker. I love networking. It's one of my favorite things. And we actually are, Karen Edwards, who is the CEO of Roofer's Coffee Shop, and myself have put together a book called The Power of Networking. A lot of what we're going to go through today is based off of this, and we will be sending everybody who is registered a copy of the book as a thank you for being a part of it. So I'm ready to go, John. Here, let's start talking networking.
And they're going to love the book. I know they are. Great.
It's fun. It's a workbook. It's a workbook that kind of gets everybody going. So why network? You know, I think honestly, there's a lot of people out there who are like, especially since COVID and the Zoom era and stuff like that, but like, do I really need to do that? I'm just going to do my job and I don't really need to network. But everyone in business, every professional needs to. John, why don't you share some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got to look at networking as more than just in person at all times. You're basically you're going to become your own brand ambassador. That's what I really like about networking. You know, you can't there's no way, whether it's on a Zoom meeting or if you're in person or you're doing it via email or phone call, whatever it is, if people don't know about you, how are you ever going to grow? So this isn't just about if you're a self-owned business. This is about being your own person, working in a company. It does not matter. You have to network. You're going to grow your career. And I will tell you, going back, I've got a call this Saturday coming up. I'm presenting something for an organization for a gentleman. He now lives in Virginia. He retired out of Johns Manville, New Jersey. We met each other over 40 years ago. So that's what I'm saying. So you see where I'm going with this. It doesn't matter when you develop these relationships and friendships over the years, they stick with you through your entire life. So you have to do these in order to fulfill your own dreams and yourself, actually.
Well, and I really see a lot of it too is it helps you find mentors. If you stay in your own space and you don't reach out to other people, you're never going to be able to learn. There's so much to learn out there and there's so much wisdom. And so I've always felt that in business, and I always say especially roofing, but it's everywhere. It's every business. It's about relationships. People buy from people who they like. And so the more relationships you build, the stronger you are out there. Not only is it going to help you with finding mentors, with your career development, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but also with finding people who can mentor you along the way. So really, really critical as we move forward. And I think a lot of the times, John, one of the biggest things in networking that's missed is your own company. Like, are you taking the time within your own company to get to know everyone?
You got a couple great points here. Develop a plan to know employees working in similar roles. When I started in the North, that's where I started my career. I moved to Florida in '99. Coming up through the ranks, I started with a large company, and there was over 500-600 employees just in the state of Florida. So here I am coming out of state. I jump into this new company. No one knows me whatsoever, and if you don't take the time to reach out, not everyone's going to reach out to you. That they may stay back a little bit. So reach out, introduce yourself, look at what other people are doing. You have to learn all about, if you're in a company, you need to learn what makes that company tick, right? There's more to a company than just their vision and mission statement. Why is that the vision, mission statement? Why do you have all these things that are preaching the core values, all the stuff we all hear about? But you need to know how that actually rolls through your company. And you got another good one on here. And what I did in my career, talk to the vendors, especially if you're new or even if you're not new, build those relationships. I'm telling you, relationships will stick with you through your entire career. And again, another great example, last one, I'd let you jump back on, leadership. If you're working in a company and they don't know who you are, you're not going to ever climb the ladder. Or you're not going to learn. A lot of times you talk about mentors. The owners of these companies are some of the greatest mentors in the world because they got to where they're at by doing these things. So take advantage of it. I always like to say, be a sponge, soak it all in when you're in them companies.
Exactly. And, I think back about my career and, when I started out in marketing and I loved marketing, but I really wanted to go into sales, which I found since then. I love sales. And so the way that I did that was actually seeking out salespeople, asking to travel with them, to ride with them, to kind of learn what they were doing, understanding. Not only did it help from a marketing standpoint that I was able to provide better marketing, but it also helped from a personal that I was able to really start understanding what it meant to be a salesperson and what it meant in that job. And so I think a lot of people don't think about that. There's so many people, I've talked to so many people in the roofing business who maybe started out in sales or started out in front office, and they're like, I want to be an estimator. Well, go spend time with an estimator and see what they do and understand it. And you may realize you love that, or go spend time out on the roof and understand what's happening in your own company. I think I just think that's so important. And some of my best friends were people who I met when I first started in the industry. Sure. Too. Vendors are huge. And I know you already said that, but I just have to say, the magazines, the publications, Roofers Coffee Shop, Cotney Consulting, when you're really looking at building the relationships with people who can help you, you may never buy from them. And that's okay, because you still have that relationship and putting it out there.
Well, that was a good point. I just want to tag on to that because you said about buying. That's one thing when you're networking, you got to understand, yes, you're there, especially outside of your company, to make a sale or you're promoting your company. But if you go into this about building relationships and make that your key motive, sales and all that will come. So you brought a great example. People in the industry reach out to me all the time, and I have no expectations that they need to buy something from me in order to talk to me, right?
Exactly.
I love to speak to all the different people around the industry, give out as much advice as I can give, and it will all come back because somebody's going to need something and they're going to say, hey, you know, Heidi, great person. I talked to her. She gave me some great advice. That's who you need to go talk to get what you need, right? That's how it happens.
That is exactly how it happens. And I have to say here, for anybody who's listening to this, if you've been around for a while, this you already know this, but for people who are starting out, it can be really scary, John, like you said, to go talk to the owner of the company or to go talk to the president or the CEO. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, I need to have an appointment to go sit down in their office. It is as simple as when you're at that company picnic, when you're at that Christmas party, when you're at the water cooler, you know, saying hi and just getting to know that, letting them know you and you getting to know them. And
Yep.
I know within my career that has paid huge benefits, because then all of a sudden they know your face, they know your name, and they're willing to be your advocate and to help you in your career growth.
There's only one thing I'll throw in there for anyone networking in a company. The best way to be noticed, grow with your career, stay out of the gossip pool. That is one. I just want to get that out there because I've seen a lot of people fail because you don't want to be a part of that. You just want to be that person that really truly wants to grow, get to know people for no other reason than to develop. I just wanted to throw that key out there because I've seen a lot of people go awry in bigger companies with that one.
Positive, stay focused on what you can do for the company. I agree 100%. And that kind of leads us to industry networking. And this is where it is so important to really be able to look outside your company. And that may not always be easy. You may work in a company where they don't encourage you to look outside the company or in the industry, but there's a lot of ways to do it. So John, let's talk through those.
Yeah, I think industry networking is still should be a very top priority to anyone. I know there may be a little bit less of that today in comparison to like when we came up, through the 80s and where that was what you didn't have online. Look at it as a mix, because now industry associations, Roofers Coffee Shop's a great example. You've got all these individual groups, you've got the chat rooms, you've got the, all different groups like we're doing here with the meetings. Get into that. Don't worry about what you can and can't do. No one's going to be mad at you for growing your own develop of your abilities, right? I know I met a lot of great friends when I moved to Florida and became a part of the West Coast Roofing Contractors Association in 1999. I know you've all heard the story. Well, that's where Trent and I met. We met at that when he first came out of law school, and we've been friends for life ever since. And the same way, I have other friends at other roofing companies. And that's where it came out of. So you're going to gain knowledge, you're going to learn, but also develop yourself out into, and I love to do this, non-roof related networking as well.
Yes.
Go involve yourself in other networks that are maybe outside with, I tell you, I joined an estimating organization back in the 90s, right? Or when I say 99 when I moved down here. I was the only roofing estimator involved in it, but I made friends and, learned mentoring from people that were doing it for years, and they were maybe a general contractor. They could have been site work, whatever, it didn't matter. You're getting your name out there, you're moving and you're gaining knowledge. I'm going to let you take the trade shows a little bit and jump down because you've got that down pat, Heidi, for sure.
Well, if you can attend trade shows. I know regional and national, that may not always work out, but if you can, go to the shows and go with a plan. That's one of the things that we put in our book, is that whenever you're doing anything, put together a plan that these are the type of people I want to meet. You may not know their names. You may just know I want to meet people from a certain company, or I really recommend do research ahead of time. Go online on LinkedIn and kind of see who is that marketing person at this company that you just really love their marketing, or maybe who is this company that is doing amazing metal projects and you want to learn more from them. That kind of research, going to the meetings, going to the events, going to the trade shows, and really being specific about intentional about who you want to meet and who you want to get to know, that is critical. And a lot of that comes too from being involved in associations, going to the shows, going to the events, but then also industry specific professional groups. And so as for many of you will know, I'm going to point out National Women in Roofing. Great organization for women to get involved in, to really meet other women in roofing and see what they're doing. It can be online, it can be at the shows, it can be at events, it can be all different ways. So the beauty of where we're at today is that if you can't travel, if you don't have anything local, you can still do events, even kind of trade shows online. And that's one of the things that we do at Roofers Coffee Shop. We are constantly trying to get all that information out to help people get involved and connect. And that industry networking, just one last thought, is what that does is it opens up avenues for learning. And it opens up avenues for your career and for your business. And so it's just critical.
One
yes.
great thing you're doing now, Heidi, Roofers Coffee Shop, at all these shows, if you can't, and like you say, you can't get to all of them, no one can. It's good to try to have one set aside, one live experience that you can get to, because it's just exciting. But you're coming live from the floor now.
Yes, we
right?
are.
You got your YouTube channels, you got that going. So
Yep.
anyone can experience what it's like to be live at these conventions and meetings and that, and the educational sessions at all these are superb and well worth it.
Yeah, and John, you speak at so many of those. I know. I mean, I'm at so many of them, and it just offers unending education from really good people, really strong speakers. I have to tell you, this is probably where I am the weakest. So I'm going to just put that out there, because I work so national all the time. Sometimes I'm just not even that good at networking in my own community, but it's critical for, especially for local businesses. So all the roofing companies that are out there, or even as you are trying to be involved just more in your community and get to know more folks, this is really important.
Yeah, local associations, local roofing associations, if you really want to get down in the weeds and have some fun and make a difference, get into these affiliate organizations, whatever state you're in. There's probably one there. Sometimes, like here in the state of Florida, there's multiple affiliates, depending on where you live. I believe a lot in community networking. I did a lot. I had to give you an example personally, had nothing to do with business, but I gained a lot of business and met a lot of friends. My son became an Eagle Scout, so I spent the entire time being a Boy Scout advisor. I taught the merit badges. I love doing that, working with the youth. Example, you think roofing stuff, I sat on the band board when my daughters were going through high school on the color guard, and I ended up getting sucked into being president of the band board. That was the worst political thing I was ever involved in for 4 years, but we made it through it. But the point is, you gave back, right? That's what you want to do. If you look at these of gaining some pleasure inside of you for doing this, I'm telling you, I always said this before, you will always get what you need. If you always get what you want, if you help someone else get what they need. This is a great way of doing that. You're going to give back to your community. You're not even doing it for the reason, and you don't want to do it for the reason of making a sale or expanding your career. You want to do this because it makes you feel good. Pick something in the community that you really believe in and enjoy, and I'm telling you, it'll pay off tenfold.
It will, and but John, too, I do want to say from a sales perspective, when you're looking at a local roofing company, a lot of times, you think, oh, that's just the salespeople's job, or that's just the owner's job. Really, it's everyone's job. And by encouraging employees to network within the community, by going to that band or the high schools,
Yep.
or being a part of, as an owner, should be a part of Chamber of Commerce, getting involved with professional groups like BOMA or the different associations for homeowners or nonprofit organizations. Everyone's going to know you're with roofing. And when they need a roof, they're going to call you. And you're going to either, if you're a salesperson, great. If you're not, you're going to be able to send that off to your salespeople. But those kind of referrals and that kind of community exposure is critical. We talked about brand ambassadors at the beginning for roofing companies, any company, but especially working on a local level. This is, I think, one of the most critical.
Do a volunteer charity. Get your, take a roofing company, go do a charity roof, get involved in an organization doing it, go do a Habitat for Humanity, something like that. Now, what you want to do is not just take all your roofers that are used to doing the roof, take your admin. Take people inside that, your front desk person, your accountant, whatever. Yes, they're not going to get up on the roof, but there's coffee needs to be served. We've done that where we've raked the lawns of the house we've been doing. Everyone loves to be involved, and that is a huge team builder within inside your company.
Yeah, it's great. It's some of the best networking that you can do. So let's talk a little bit. I mentioned this earlier. So, okay, you have your company that you're wanting to network in and understand. You have the industry overall, and that may be several industries, right? So for many companies out there, they're doing roofing, they're doing exterior siding, they may be doing building envelope, they might be doing waterproofing and roofing or sheet metal. So you may have a couple different industries that you kind of got to work your way through. And then you have your community. That is for you personally and for your company overall is so critical. So how do you set those goals? That goal setting is one of the most important parts of networking. I always say, if you write it down and you hold yourself accountable, great things happen. But if you don't set those goals and you don't hold yourself accountable, then it kind of we get caught up in the busyness of life. So John, what are some of the things goal setting that you focus on?
Well, I'll tell you a couple of tips of what I've done throughout my career. When you go to large events, you get lost, right? So let's just use this as an example. I will tell you about when I was working in the roofing industry, roofing contractor, and going to a large ABC event, which was general contractors. So the goal was to make new connections and develop new business. That was the ultimate goal. But you had many goals to get there. You can't do your large goal without, stepping it down. So what I always like to do is I would go in. I always love to read a room. So I recommend this for anyone that gets in a crowd. Read the room first. Don't charge in like a bull. Some people are scared and some people are very outgoing. I was always very outgoing, so that wasn't hard for me. But I go in and read the room. And what I was looking for is find out who really is connected in that room, not necessarily the person or people in the company I wanted to see, but who am I going the next level down, get to be friends with, introduce myself, talk to. And then you're going to get an introduction, which will make you even more valuable because the person introducing you already has a solid relationship with who you want to get to. So read the room, find out who the key players are, work on the mid-level first, and then you're going to get your way to the top level. So my ultimate goal was to get my leads, work on that. But I had multiple goals going up. First one was read the room, meet the people who could get me where I needed to be, and build those lower relationships. And you got those for life and work your way up.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. And I always look at it too, as like almost kind of developing a profile, right? And that will change between networking events. There's gonna be some networking events that I'm like, okay, I really want to meet this person because I'm really hoping they can mentor me. I really like what they're doing. I want to follow them and kind of get to know them, right? I can't tell you how many people I've walked up and just said, I really just want to get to know you because you're really interesting and doing some great stuff. And I think it's okay to be that transparent, but if you don't kind of have this profile, one event might be sales. So you're going after a sales thing. Another event might be for your career, or it might be all in the same. So kind of writing that down and really looking at not just the name of the person, but the path that you want to take and what you're looking for overall. I think, I'm a big proponent of writing stuff down. And in fact, John, in this book, it is a workbook, and it has, after every chapter, it has, who do I want to meet? It's all lined out with all the notes and everything. So it makes it easy.
Well, that's what they say, right? A goal is only a dream unless you actually write it down and put an action in place to get to that goal.
Right.
Other than that, it's just a dream. So Heidi, that's great advice. I hope everybody takes advantage of this book when you send it out, because it sounds like there's a lot of good tips and work throughs in there for everyone.
It's a workbook, so it's just kind of, it's a nice thing to have, to be able to put all this down. But and I guess that's what we're talking about. It's a networking tool, right? You need some place to write this down, because it's not part of your every single day usually, unless you're a salesperson, and of course you're working on your pipeline, which that's part of it too. You're already writing all that down. But so there's a lot here on networking tools. So John, why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah. So if you're, I always like to look at it this way. LinkedIn, I think, is one of the very great business tools for getting yourself out there, for exposure for yourself, for your company, but you have to use it right. I will tell you right now, if you're not, you need to put a professional or a nice picture of yourself up. Not, it's not Facebook. You have to look at it differently. And you want to have, that's where you chance to show off, provide your content. This is not about you out searching for a job. This is about why someone would want to follow you, why someone would want to work with you, why they want to get to know you, right? And is it, whether you use Facebook's the same way. I mean, I like to keep Facebook both professional and personal, but Facebook, you got a lot more leeway and you got a lot more fun. LinkedIn definitely, in my opinion, is more strictly business. Keep it that way. You'll be better off. Get connected and be selective. But all right, so you got to understand that you're going to get trollers out there that just want to connect, and they do get through. Even on me, they get through. So what I do is, if I get one stupid in-mail telling me, buy 1 million leads for a roofing company, and I'm a consultant now, I just like, dude, do you not read my profile? And then I just, knock them off. So the same way with you, don't reach out to people that you don't have any, connection to, because they kind of look at you that way. LinkedIn searches, events, and groups. And that's a great one. I want to talk a minute about that. You can find about anything you want if you search correctly on LinkedIn and you drill it down. There's a tremendous amount of great events that are advertised out there, and you hook up with these different groups, and also follow the companies. Like, you can follow IRE, you can follow Western States, FRSA, NRCA, National Women in Roofing. I don't mean to leave anybody out, but it's endless. Roofers Coffee Shop, Cotney, all of us are on there. And we put a lot of information out there. You'll learn a lot. And if you're busy, you don't have to look at it all, but it comes in. You can pick what you want to see. Set your notifications up. I'm going to let you talk about the Sales Navigator portion of LinkedIn.
Yes.
I think that's great, but I'm going to let you jump onto that one, Heidi.
Well, Sales Navigator is kind of like this hidden gem of a tool for anybody in sales. And what it is it's an additional program within LinkedIn that you pay a little bit of extra for, but it helps you actually track prospects. So if you are, and this can be used not just for sales, it can be used for everything. So say you are working with an association and you want to help them drive membership, but you kind of want to track ideas for people to approach for membership or to send information to. You can do that through Sales Navigator. You can create these groups of companies that you want to watch, or people that you want to watch or connect with. And I use it all the time. I am in there and I track people. So I see what their announcements are. I see what's happening. I see when people are coming and going from the jobs. And it's maybe sounds a little stocky, but it's not. It's just great information. And I think, just to John's point, like, we get so many people connecting on LinkedIn who, same thing, Roofers Coffee Shop, they think we're a roofing company. And I'm like, you didn't look at it. You didn't. And so taking that time to investigate and to really track and follow makes you a better connection. And it also makes for better networking. When you do talk to somebody, you kind of have an idea what to talk about or what's going on. And I also want to say too, engagement. and we're kind of really talking about LinkedIn, but I will spend time usually on the weekends. I go into LinkedIn and I go out and I find posts that we've either put out through Rufus Coffee Shop or other people have. I comment, I share, I tag people, but I only tag people I know. And I don't tag 20 people. This is my personal opinion on this, but I like to make it very intentional and very courteous. I think that's a really important part of LinkedIn and any social media that you're doing. And, be happy to do recommendations for people. I'm selective on doing recommendations, but you also, there's just so many parts of LinkedIn and Facebook that you can do to optimize. Going back to the beginning, and John already said this, but I just want to say the same thing. Optimize your profile. Before I went to National Women in Roofing Day, I spent a couple hours on a Saturday just going into my profile, making sure that I had all the articles that I had written, links to the different webinars, to the associations I'm involved in, to the board positions. I make sure that I optimize my LinkedIn all the time with work, so it's current and it looks current, so that when people come to find you, because you're doing all this networking, they see a really honest, authentic view of what you're doing in your career at that point. So I think that's probably a thing. But one of the things you didn't talk about too is providing content. So John, you were just telling me before this webinar that you're writing for Western States, for IBEC, for Florida. I mean, you provide content all the time.
Yeah, so that's a key. If you provide content, you're actually going to whatever the analytics are behind there. You get kicked out, you get your followers. I provide content that I feel is important to the industry. I don't, it's not about, putting something out there political. I don't do any of that. I stay away from all of that. Mine is to get information out there, to talk to people. I've got great followers. I love the people who follow me. Even if you're not the point to write content, share somebody's content.
Yes.
And Heidi's absolutely correct. Interact with it, because the more you do that, the more active you get and the more better stuff you get on your feeds. I will tag in, Heidi, great point. Be careful when you tag. There are people there to tag multiple people. LinkedIn right now will actually put you on a timeout for 30 days or more if they feel you're just over tagging people. They just started doing that. I get tagged in by people, and as long as I know it's for the right reason, I'm good with it. But you got to be careful. Not everyone wants to be tagged in. So just don't do it, as Heidi said, openly. I'm fine being tagged in. I tag Heidi in, we tag other people in, tag different people I know, but get a lot of great content out there. If you follow the right people, you're going to get so much information off of LinkedIn. You're going to have to weed through it. You're going to have the pure people that are on there just to sell, buy my leads. And, do you need this? I can be your marketing guru, get your SEO up to 1 trillion. Those are the things you get. Once you get through all that, start following the people that you want to learn from. There is a ton of experts out there, roof consultants, manufacturers, you name it, they're out there. I love interacting with, roofers that are out there every day putting roofs down. Yes. I love seeing the photos. I post a lot of historical stuff constantly. That's the stuff that's fun, getting all that out there. So interact, have fun, reach out to the people in your network, build your network of who you want to. And I think you're going to grow your career. You're going to grow your presence, and you're going to have fun, which is important along the way.
It is. That was so important. And we already touched on this earlier, but I think it's really important for in-person events. Again, once you've set your goals, that you really think about what do you need to do while you're there? How do you meet people? And so, John, just a little bit about when you're going to these events, what are you doing to prepare?
You got to have a plan, especially if you're going to any kind of large regional or national show. They're overwhelming. You've got tons of booths to visit. There's more educational sessions than you can sit through. That's the way they're set up, so everybody can do it. So I always like to start planning early, see what I want to do, who I want to meet. Key when you go to these live events, if they're 2-3 days events, usually the larger corporate People are always there on the first day. So if there's somebody you really want to meet, that's the day to make sure you are active running around, seeing your manufacturer friends of what you want to do. And I always like to save the last day for the people I like to drill down and really talk to, find out what I'm interested in, what they can do for me, because by then it's a little bit slower. People are kind of settled in a little bit. You do that. Business cards and thank you notes. So don't be afraid to do that. I will tell you, in today's world, it is still nice. I save them when someone handwrites me a note compared to getting an email. We get 1 million emails a month, right? But that handwritten note, I've got handwritten notes. I never throw them out. I'm afraid to, because someone took the time to write it. I'm like, it's really nice that they did that. I still save them and look back at them. So again, do your homework, do a plan. It's kind of like we talked about with goal setting. Have a reason for what you're doing. But I recommend to everyone listening, if you have not gone to a large regional or the national events, it's not that expensive. You can kind of, first one I went to in the 80s with my wife, we created a vacation out of it. It was in California. I lived in New Jersey then. We went out to it was an NRCA convention then, not the IRE. Went out there, did the convention, and took another week and drove up and down the highway, specific highway out there in California. So it's okay. You can make that. That's what roofers do. We make that our vacations.
Right. And then we look at roofs. I love it. So along with that, in person, you also have digital marketing or networking. And this is it, right? This is what we're doing. We're talking. I'm seeing your names over here. We're visiting. Video calls work. It's good for networking. And one of the things that I've seen lately is people they feel shy. They don't turn on their video camera. I would really recommend turn on your video camera. It is so to be able to see each other and to be able to have that connection. We need that as we are living this Zoom age. But what are some of the other ways, Johns, with digital networking?
Yeah, so jump into video calls. I actually don't do phone calls hardly at all anymore. I prefer doing a video call because we get the interaction, and you feel like you're actually in person as much as you could be. I think from a sales point of view, you must be used to you have to get yourself into a routine of doing video calls. That's going to be the new sales of the future. It's going to start taking over because people don't have to travel as much, especially with out-of-state owners and different things. Videos, email. Keep your emails. At least this is my opinion. My pet peeve is when I get an email that is 4,000 paragraphs long. I usually can't make it through it, especially if it's a solicitation or how are you doing. Keep your emails short, to the point. Throw a link to a YouTube, throw a link to a video you have. There's nothing wrong with you taking the time you can do a selfie video and tie it right into your email saying, I'll tell you this works. Let me tell you about texting. Go have an appointment with somebody, and then after you're done, before you leave their house, if you're in residential or they're building a commercial, sit in your vehicle, go ahead and tape yourself saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, it was really nice to meet you. As I promised, I'm going to go back, do this estimate. I'm going to do the sales, whatever you talked about, recap it real quick in the video and say, pleasure, this is my contact information. We got to make sure you get the phone number, but text it to them. I'll tell you, that is a great way of doing it. People love it. And you've given it a personal touch now. So you can use digital networking is as important and almost more important now than face-to-face because the world's moving that way.
Right.
But again, as Heidi, you got here, update your information. You got to be up to date. It's got to be current. And of course, create content. I know 2 years ago, jumping over into the consulting from working in the roofing, I was like, my God, how do I create contact? Write all these. Now it's waking up. I had somebody call me a day. Ooh, we forgot to get an article. Can you help us out? I did 1,200 word article in less than 35 minutes because you get used to doing it. So it's like anything else. You'll get used to doing all this. Start out slow, build yourself up. Super important though for your career and your development throughout.
And I can tell you, digital networking leads to in-person networking. So I'll give you an example. I was at the MetalCon trade show last fall, and this young gentleman, Artie from Tremco, came up and he introduced himself and he says, I follow you on LinkedIn. I've been reading all your articles and I just really wanted to meet you. And I was like, wow, this is great. He just such an impressive young man. And he is now one of our influencers on RCS, on Rivers Coffee Shop. So he's an influencer, he's writing for us, all because he saw me digitally, we met, I was so impressed with him, we now asked him to be involved. That's how the networking chain happens. And so all of this that we've been talking about leads to a lot of different things, but you kind of have to look across the board for it. And I think, John, I know this is going to be one of your favorite slides, and this is really important. The next two slides, we talk about giving back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I always feel better when I'm doing something for someone else. I think, I don't know of anybody out there that doesn't. If you haven't done a lot of it, do more and more of it, you'll feel well. Again, you know, first one, networking is a two-way street. That's a great bullet point there. You have to also bring value to someone that you're trying to gain value from. If not, it's no different than dating. It falls apart real quick because there's not a give and take, right? You know, you got to have win-wins. I've always been there to help out anybody I can. I love when people call me up and say, you know, you remember we met 2 years ago, we were at this event and we talked. I'm like, yeah, I remember. I need help. I know it's not maybe what you can do, but can you point me in a direction? I'm like, sure. And I'll even take the time to research what they're looking for and get that back to them, because now I brought value to them, and that makes me feel better than if I called up somebody and asked them to help me. I love your standing up for the underprivileged. I think that is a huge bullet point. And, you know, you got to remember that you have to be that advocate for the person that can't speak up for themselves. And I think roofing industry in general has done such a great job of doing this. Example, charity roofs are one of the greatest ways to give back to community, and, you know, through your organization or get your company to do it. I know through organizations, we get 5 to 10 roofing companies a year. We get together. We work here in the Tampa Bay area where I'm at. We have taken a passion over the last 10 years of doing veterans homes, right? So they, you know, you can't believe the amount of people you meet that have given so much for all of us, and they need help, and they start to cry when you put a roof on because their house has been leaking for years. So that's what it's all about. Give back, stand up, be the person there, be that bigger person, be the person that everyone wants to look to when there's an issue, a problem, or something that needs to be solved. That's how you become a true leader.
Exactly. And that's how you meet other people who are in the same, the type people you want to meet, because they're going to be there doing the exact same thing. And it's so powerful. And, you know, John, one of the things that I am really committed to is for seasoned networking, for people who have been like you and I in the industry for a long time. I feel it is crucial. It is like, it has to happen, is that you have to give back to the young people who are coming up. I spend a good amount of time every week just meeting and visiting and talking to new business owners, to new young people in the industry, connecting women to women, connecting men, you know, you name it, making those connections. That kind of networking of a seasoned networker giving back, you'll get like 10 times back at you. I find that, I mean, the amazing people who are coming to this industry at all levels of the industry is really cool. And I really do one-on-one mentoring. I know you do, John. Yep. And I try to not only be an inspiration, but get inspired by that next generation, the next, all the people who are looking to take it to the next level.
Yeah, you know, example, you go to speak. I love to speak. I never believed I would ever be in that position, because years ago I was scared to death to get up in front of a crowd. I couldn't speak in front of my high school, or, you know, to spare my life, I was frightened. But now that's what I really enjoy. I love getting out there. I love to talk. I love to take the time when I'm done. IRE, I had 4 speaking engagements. I spent hours after each one of them with groups of people come up afterwards and had more questions like, I'm sorry for taking your time. I said, no, that's what I'm here for. Whatever I can, you know, possibly answer for you or point you in the right direction. even with my business now and the consulting, I do pro bono coaching calls for startup companies because I know they're not going to be able to afford having somebody on staff or to do it. You know, people are like, well, why do you do that? I'm like, well, one, I have a love for the industry. I raised my family in this industry. My kids all went to college. They're all successful. So now I'm in a position of life where I can give back. That's what I want to do. So yes, we all work. We have to make money. We have to put food on our tables. But, you know, you're going to take that time. And I like the last one, you know, the next generation. I'm a baby boomer. So I'm at the tail end of the baby boomer generation. But we have, you know, I hope we do, we have a lot of knowledge. And the best way to get that knowledge, because we came up with a non-digitized, non-computerized, non-single ply. We started before all the stuff that you're used to doing today was there. So we came through a lot of learning curves and development changes, and talk about change, where a lot of generations all have that. But we had to go through all this change in 25 years to get to where we're at now. So that's what's great about being able to give back and teach the younger generation what we were. And I'm a big proponent. My generation came up, you got to wait your time and put your time in before you can move ahead. No, I want to give you, and a lot of people in my generation and the Generation X below me, we want to give you all this knowledge so that you can accelerate. That's what you gain out of networking, getting as much knowledge as you can from the people who are willing to mentor, willing to give back, so you can not have to spend 10 years getting to where it may have taken us to get. You can do that quicker because you've got a lot of pointers
And
and tips.
And I think and you know what, this should be on a slide somewhere because I just thought of it. One of the most important parts of networking is listening. And so listen, I learn more from the young people coming in, the next generation. They teach me about TikTok and all these things that I have no idea. They give me just as much as I give to them. So I love that. That's what real networking is about, is listening and shared, going back and forth. So speaking of networking, John, we're kind of at the end of that presentation, but we want to talk a little bit about how people can be networking with our Affinity partnership between Cotney and Roofer's Coffee Shop. So why don't you start with, for any of our club members out there who are listening to this, watching this on demand, Cotney Consulting does some amazing things. John, why don't you share that?
Yeah, so if you're not an R Club member, you need to be. And if you've seen me on these webinars before with Heidi, I'm going to give you the same line that I give. And it's not because I have to, it's because I believe in it. This is a great peer group. I've had the honor to be on a few presentations for the R Club as an overall group. And I really like doing that because there's so much knowledge within this group that it's great to see these conversations and knowledge bounce back and forth. So you need to become an R Club member for that reason, right? If nothing else, it's to be a part of the group of knowledge. You have to be. It's fun too. So in that, you're part of this R Club. We're going to give you on our end 15% off of all of our services, whether it's business services, training, online documents, whatever it is to help you, gain through your business, whatever you can do, risk management. We got it all there. We'll help you out. You get 15 off of that. You call us up through here and you're in our club, we'll give you a free risk analysis, financially, operationally. And what that means is we're going to help you understand your financials, which is very important, or we're going to look for some key outlining KPIs for you fit into the industry or don't. Even if you're a veteran, I've had a lot of conversations with people doing this for 25 years and saying, well, here's what I see based on industry. Like, wow, I never thought about that. Great. Operational risk management. We're going to look at things that are, how is your safety manual? How are your programs? How does everybody interact? What is your chain of command? How does that work? You get all a little report back from us stating these things. It's going to pay off in, a lot for you because it's going to keep you out of a lot of trouble. And it gives you the information to do better. Software technology. What we do on that is we like to come in and talk to you about how you use your technology. And we're not here to sell you any technology on this, but we want to find out what you're really using and let you know sometimes, because we have a lot of experience with different softwares, you're only really using this 40%. These are some areas you may want to look to develop into your business and use it more. So we're going to help you because you're paying a lot of money to purchase all these different softwares. So we'll work on you with that. And of course you get these great complimentary webinars. I mean, we try very hard to get the most best information out there. And that's why I love doing it with Heidi, because I think Heidi does best job in the industry of getting all this different types of information out to the group. So that being said, I pop it back over to what you got going on.
Well, John, thank you. That means the world to us, and we love working with Cotney. And so what we're offering to all Cotney consulting customers is to get a discount. I should say this 15% discount for the R Club. And as John said, the R Club is a peer group. You get a full directory. You get to be involved with Ask a Roofer, which is a homeowner, building owner site where you can engage with the consumers. And then we do something a little bit special too. We do a 30-minute marketing consultation with Karen or Heidi. So Karen Edwards and I, who wrote the book, she's also involved with RT3 as the executive director, and she's our COO of Roofers Coffee Shop. Both of us have been in there a long time. We've written a couple different books, so you'll get free marketing books also, and then discount on classified ads, and then this networking that we're talking about, our monthly coffee breaks and these kind of webinars. So and if you're on this call and you're not a Cotney member, but you're still interested in our club, we'll still give you that 15%. So we're going to send this all out to you so you can get a hold of us. And how you get a hold of us, and we can give you those promo codes to get started, is right here. So I don't know if there's any questions from the folks in the audience, but if there is, please put them in the chat. I should have said that earlier. But we really appreciate you all being here, and this has been great, John. Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Networking is a great topic. And again, I can't stress enough, anybody listening, start out in your own company, work your way around it, get comfortable doing it. I'll tell you, becomes like just like riding a bike, as they say, it's or going to a gym. It becomes a habit. Once you start doing anything more than 30 days, it becomes a comfortable way of doing things. So jump on in. The water's warm.
Sounds great. That sounds great. Well, it doesn't look like we have any questions right now. So, but if you do, this is how you get a hold of us. We appreciate you being here. We have your registration, so everybody will be receiving a special gift in the mail. So thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a great day.
Talk to you all later.